G'day, so I'm Keenan from Alpaca Experience out at Karapiro. We run an organic farm here of quite a diversity of stock. This I think is our number one original outpost shed. It's probably a decade and a half old, still quite functional, being moved around. We're in a high wind zone here, so now we keep this one fairly stationary, but it has been moved around a lot. And we bring other sheds in or fencing, and we use this as a wind buffer and for the animals to shelter and primarily for their hay. They can always come in here and get out of the weather. So it's stood up pretty well, even with me putting it together. This one's got a lot of height in it, so alpacas have no problems coming into, and like this, they don't feel like it's enclosed. The cattle can also come in. The donkeys, again, they don't like coming into anything that's too enclosed. As you can see, it's holding up quite nicely, and it's been towed around quite a few times. Even the bison had a go towing this one around, and it's still holding up. It's watertight, it keeps the hay. I mean, hay's expensive and we don't want it to be getting wet. We can just chuck the hay in here and it always remains dry. This one's got the height which works for a lot of the larger animals. That's where the bison put their horns through it and took it for a bit of a walk, but still didn't tip it over. It's got all the angles and that sort of thing on it, so it's not sharp. You don't run into the side of it because that can be quite dangerous, especially with the overhangs and that sort of thing, so you do need to have that capping on it. This is the original Zinc-A-Loom, I think it is. Still original screws. It's probably the kind of standard that we kind of run with the stock we've got. Even through Gabriella, this one held up and a lot of the trees didn't, as you can see. So this one's also one of our earlier sheds. This was a little customized one, probably when Outpost were still expanding their range. One we originally got for the goats, but now we use it for the donkeys. You can see this one went for a bit of a walk. The bison decided to nudge it round the paddock and punched a couple of holes in it before I realised what was happening, and still held up pretty well. Yeah, nice and robust, this one. So this one's ideal for your smaller stock like sheep and goats and donkeys. Yeah, and we store hay in it and that sort of thing as well, so it's kind of very versatile little unit. So we got this one in rustic red. It's actually quite a good one because the missus knows where I've got it because she can see it from up the top, because she's always trying to rob this one for the sheep. So this one's an outpost shed which I bought second hand, came from another property, and I dismantled it and popped it over here. This is probably my favourite shed. Slight modification on the front for goats because they like to be a little bit more snuggly. I'm actually going to put a little gate on the front there so we can lock small stock in there if the weather's poor. I flat packed it and put it together in one day, so it's held up really, really well. Probably be good for the donkeys as well, so you can probably put hay racks and that sort of thing in it. This is a really versatile one, so I'm still not quite decided where it's going to go yet. Yeah, the llamas really, really love this. Also the ponies, it's kind of ideal for that sort of bigger stock. This one works well for horses as well. You've just got that extra protection, you've got that height, and it's got the extra depth. For ponies, we normally just put a little bit of hay in there and then they can get out of the elements, so it's a real versatile unit, this one. Most horses are pretty well trained, so probably a good area for actually doing things to your horse, because you can take it in, rub it down, hose it down, because you can always just drag it along to a clean spot if it gets a bit wet. Yeah, and there's a sturdy, I mean, you can tie a horse off onto this without a problem. It's not going to tow it anywhere. It's also got little holes in the skids, so we always tie our goats to it, but they're quite easy to tether to. You can also put wood in one end, which is probably what I'll do next winter as well, and I might just, they've got another option where you can just get a divider here, and so I'll probably make it into a wood in this end and then animals in the other end, so, or maybe hay in this end and the animals in the other end. This one, which I bought second hand, and I've just reassembled it pretty much as new. Certainly structurally, it's sealed really well. All the foam seals and that sort of thing have kept it watertight and draft proof. So really it's as if I'd have gone and bought it flat packed, brand spanking. So good resale for the client, and it's quite functional for me as well. The outpost sheds, they've been a good option for us, and I'd certainly highly recommend them as a shelter, shed, hay barn, whatever you want to use them for. People are amazing, sold to the earth. My accountant said, like, why you've got so many blooming shelters on the books, and I said, well, it's money well spent. It saves us a fortune on animal health. We don't waste hay. Hay's expensive, feed's expensive, and it's just really part and part of having a lifestyle block or farming, really. The outpost sheds, they've been a good option for us. It's money well spent. Shelters are totally understated.